Okay, so let's take a couple of measurements and see how we're gonna proceed from here on out. We need to measure the counter bore for the valve seat. Okay, I come up with 1.743. Now I'm going to call it 1.743. Let's write that number down. Okay. We measured the seat, and it was as stated on the package, 1.757 exactly. So the seat is 14 thousandths of an inch bigger than the hole. That's going to be a problem. That's too much of an interference fit. According to the manufacturer and published data I could find, I want about a 4 thousandths fit interference between the seat and the head. I think I'm actually going to go for 6. 4 just seems a little too loose to me, so I'm going to go for 6. So what that means is I'm going to need to shoot for a finished diameter of 1.7. Let's see, 1.751. That's going to be my target. So we got a target diameter 1.751. So the trouble with these is, of course, they're hardened, and it's very difficult to cut a hardened seat on a lathe. Let me show you how I'm going to do it. Okay, so how am I going to cut this hardened seat? High-speed steel won't touch it. Carbide, at least these carbides that I buy, these old bastards are like 10, 11 bucks a piece, maybe 12, I don't know. These carbides, out of the box, don't cut it either. At least not on my lathe in the way I'm trying to do it. What I have found, however, is this though. If I break one of these, and I save it, if I chip the point off of this thing, if I regrind it so that the point is sharper, and flatten it out a little bit, which makes it stronger, and then hone it a little bit with the diamond hone to get nice square sharp edges on there, with a little massaging, these carbide cutters cut it just fine. So we're going to take this out to the lathe. We're going to put this on a mandrel in the 4-jaw chuck and get it dialed in nice and round, and we're going to shave, what did I decide, about 6 thousandths of an inch of metal off of these. And I'm going to do 2 of them because I got 2 heads. And before I go out there, I'm going to double check the hole size on the other one, make sure they're both the same. That way I could cut 2 of these that are the same. Anyway, that's the plan. That's the plan. Let's go see how it works. Alright, so here's the setup for turning down the seats. Expandable arbor in my 4-jaw chuck. I've dialed this one in already. Let's put a little preload on it. And you should be able to see what we got here. Let me put this in neutral. It spins easier. Hoovering just a few thou either side of 0. Actually a few tenth thou either side of 0. That should be plenty good. And just to FYI, if I push and pull on this a little bit, either that's the free play in my spindle bearing, or maybe I'm flexing the shaft. So whatever off 0 I am is within the tolerance of the machine, you know. Anyway, we're going to turn that down and get it down to our target dimension of, what did I say it was, 1.751 or thereabouts. Let me get the dial indicator out of the way. We'll put a tool in there and we'll see what happens. All right, I got about 6 or 7 thou to take off of this piece of material. I'm going to feed it by hand. I'm going to try to touch off, take 3 thou, and then take another 3 thou, and it should be pretty close to where we need to be. Let's see what happens. Let's put the machine back in gear. Okay, that's a good touch off. I'm going to zero my dial. Let's see. That's 2 thou. That should be 3 thou right about there. Let's see what happens. That sharpened carbide is cutting through there like it was butter. Let's see where we're at. Okay, that took about 2 thou off. Let's go about another 2, maybe 3. Okay, that's got us down to 1.753. Another thou or 2 and we should be right there. Let's see where we're at. $1.751. Damn, that's dead nuts on right there. All right, we got 2 heads. The pockets have been machined to accept the valve seats. I ended up with the final diameter on these 1.750, and that was pretty much the target. I'm going to get an interference fit of about 6 or 7 thousandths on both of these. These areas are cleaned out, they're smooth, they're ready to have the seats driven in. The seats, ain't no way they're going in there. Not with the 7 thousandths interference fit. So we're going to pop many of them. We're going to bake them for an hour, I don't know, 350, 400 degrees. When they come back out, this is the driver. This is the arbor for the driver. We're going to put this over that. We're going to set this on here, and hopefully a couple of whacks with big brass over here, and they'll go in nicely. Anyway, off to the oven. About an hour. We'll see you guys in about an hour or so. These will be scorching hot. See ya. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Well, if I did my calculations correctly, this should work just fine. That's it, baby. That ain't going nowhere. Nice. Nice. Let's go get the other one. Ouch. That's it. Perfect. Ain't going nowhere. Perfect. Perfect. Hey, I like it. Good deal. That's done. Break time. Men, I'm not going to go into a great detail on, 12 valve, 6-cylinder heads, but I do want to point out a couple of things. I picked this one just for demonstration purposes, and it has a couple of kind of interesting things about it. If you look at the valve seat, this area down in here is the narrowing cut. This area in here is the sealing cut, and then this area out here would be where the lowering cuts would go. The sealing cut, the face cut, is probably 1/8 of an inch wide. That is the part that meets up against this face of the valve. This cut is only supposed to encompass the middle third of the valve face. So this is obviously way, way, way too wide. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to lower the valve seat. That's it. We're going to take this top edge and we're going to move it down by widening this area. And that'll be with the 30-degree cutter, okay? This part in here that faces with the valve, we're going to clean that up with the 46-degree cutter to make sure that it's concentric with the newly installed valve guide. This cut down here is the lower narrowing cut with the 60-degree cutter. We're going to raise this lip right here up to the middle of this area so that it only contacts the valve in the center of the area. The other thing I like to look at on these things that you might notice, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you have here different lines, striations, and every one of these striations is from a previous valve job. So there was probably the factory original one, then there was another one, then there was maybe another one, so like on the third or fourth valve job. Considering that, this really doesn't look like it's been cut very deeply. So I think we got plenty of meat to work with on this thing. The other dimension we're concerned with is the distance from this flange on the guide to the tip of the valve. Harley has a go, no-go gauge they use for that, or you could just use a dial caliper. And the dimension I read on here is 1.408. So the limit on that is 1.420. So I've got 0.12 of an inch that I can remove and still be within limits. If I go a little over the limit, I can shim the valve spring to keep this dimension within limits. And what shimming the valve does is essentially put a couple of spacers on top of this flange right here, and it makes the distance from here to here, from here to the tip, less. I've still got 12th thou to play with. If the seat is concentric and not too fucked up, I won't have to remove too much metal for it, and it should be fine. So let's cut this one and see what happens. I use the New Way valve seat cutters. These are actually listed in the Harley manual as an approved tool. The way they work is this. You have a pilot, and these pilots are all a nominal size of 11/32 of an inch. They're very, very slightly tapered from the top to the bottom so that they'll snug up in the guide. So you see, the guide is too small for this one, so you can't use this one. Okay, that one fits nicely. It snugs up nicely in there. That's the one we're going to go with. And just FYI, here's the other one. This one goes in all the way. That's a little too loose. You don't want the shoulder on the pilot to hit the valve guide. So we'll go in with this one here. It needs to be a little snug. You don't want the guide moving around when you take you don't want the pilot moving around. When you take it in and out, it always needs to go back in the same spot so you don't ruin your work. If it didn't go into the same spot, the seat would be getting cut a little different every time. These can be driven by hand, and New Way sells a power head, which is expensive. So I usually do them by hand. So once again, you don't want to take off more metal than you have to. Yet you want to make sure you're seating all the way around, you're cutting all the way around. So let's mark this up so you can see it better. Okay, when the black is removed evenly all the way around, the face of the valve seat will be concentric with the guide and smooth and cut the way it's supposed to be. So I'm cutting from here to here. So I've got a ways to go. Okay, I'm cutting from here all the way around to here. I still got untouched black ink down in the bottom. You got to make sure that stays tight. They tend to work loose a little bit. Okay, I've got cutting going on from here all the way around to here. This area in here still has not been touched. Okay, cutting from here all the way around to here. This area here still has not been touched. Hey, that looks good. I'm calling this one good to go.